Sometimes, incidentally, it's much easier in these transforming events to figure out the losers. You could have grasped the importance of the auto when it came along, but still found it hard to pick companies that would make you money. But there was one obvious decision you could have made back then. It's better sometimes to turn these things upside down, and that was to short horses. Frankly, I'm disappointed that the Buffett family was not short horses through this entire period. And we really had no excuse. Living in Nebraska, we would have found it super easy to borrow horses and avoid a short squeeze. US horse population in 1900, 21 million. In 1998, 5 million. The other truly transforming business invention of the first quarter of the century, besides the car, was the airplane. Another industry. His plainly brilliant future would have caused investors to salivate. So I went back to check out aircraft manufacturers, and found that in the 1939 period, there were about 300 companies, only a handful still breathing today. Among the planes made then, we must have been the Silicon Valley of that age, were both the Nebraska and the Omaha, two aircraft that even the most loyal Nebraskan no longer relies upon. Move on to failures of airlines. Here's a list of 129 airlines that in the past 20 years filed for bankruptcy. Continental was smart enough to make that list twice. As of 1992, in fact, though the picture would have improved since then, the money that had been made since the dawn of aviation by all of this country's airline companies was zero. Absolutely zero. Sizing all this up, I like to think that if I'd been a Kitty Hawk in 1903 when Orville Wright took off, I would have been foresighted enough, and public-spirited enough. I owed this to future capitalists to shoot him down. I mean, Karl Marx couldn't have done as much damage to capitalists as Orville did. I won't dwell on other glamorous businesses that dramatically changed our lives, but concurrently failed to deliver rewards to US investors. The manufacture of radios and televisions, for example. But I will draw a lesson from these businesses. The key to investing is not assessing how much an industry is going to affect society, or how much it will grow, but rather determining the competitive advantage of any given company and, above all, the durability of that advantage. The products or services that have wide, sustainable moats around them are the ones that deliver rewards to investors. This talk of 17-year periods makes me think incongruously, I admit, of 17-year locusts. What could a current breed of these critters, scheduled to take flight in 2016, expect to encounter? I see them entering a world in which the public is less euphoric about stocks than it is now. Naturally, investors will be feeling disappointment, but only because they started out expecting too much. Grumpy or not, they will have by then grown considerably wealthier, simply because the American business establishment that they own will have been chugging along, increasing its profits by 3% annually in real terms. Best of all, the rewards from this creation of wealth will have flowed through to Americans in general, who will be enjoying a far higher standard of living than they do today. That wouldn't be a bad world at all. Even if it doesn't measure up to what investors got used to in the 17 years just past.